Are you going to introduce me?
Okay.
Or?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready? Yeah. Okay. So my speech and paper are over Title IX and how that applies to sexual assault and rape on college campuses. But the first thing that we really need to understand about the policies governing that is whether or not there actually is a rape culture on college campuses. And what do you think of that in your expertise as a Respect intern?
Okay. First of all, there's definitely a rape culture that pervades our society. And many times you'll hear someone say, oh, I don't believe in it, or I don't think it's real. But whether you believe in it or not, it's here. It's here, and it's here to stay until we address it and point it out for what it is. So, first of all, let me go into what rape culture is. So, the definition of rape culture, just in the way that, let's start with culture. A culture is ideas, beliefs, actions, things that are intertwined into a society that make it a society, that make it that specific society. So you have American culture, you have British culture, you have every other type of culture. Well, what rape culture is, specifically, it's ideas, beliefs, actions that allow this perpetuation of rape as, it's not that big a deal. Now, some people are like, well, of course it's a big deal. How dare you say that there's something keeping us from doing this? But it's very simple to point when we start thinking about it logically. So let's start with a few simple things. Objectification of both men and women. Mostly women, because that's usually the victims of rape. But it goes both ways, because if you view a person as an object, if you view whether it be a sexual object or just an object, not a human being, it's a lot easier to commit a crime against them, and especially with sexual crimes. And then let's go a little bit further. I talk about this one specifically as a man because I feel like it's one that most people don't think of. The animalization of men. It's this idea that, oh, if you put a piece of meat in front of a guy, what do you expect? Of course something's going to happen. And I say, wait a minute. Did you just refer to me as a lesser form of being, that I have no thoughts, that my hormones control me? No, I'm not okay with this. So we have objectification, we have animalization, and then we can talk about victim blaming. And most people say, oh no, I'm good, I do my best to support. Well, you may do well because you've thought about it, but unfortunately, a lot of our culture, as soon as you say rape, few of the things that you hear is, oh, she was probably drunk, or she was probably doing this, or that, or wearing this, or that, or any slew of number of things, which is victim blaming. And some people call it slut shaming. I don't like to use that term because the term in and of itself is bad and makes the victim seem something lesser than a human being, as usual, back to objectification. And let's go a little even further. Something simple. Rape jokes. Saying rape out of context. Saying something about rape that isn't, not drawing the attention that needs to be drawn to it. So example, I heard this the other day. Man, you just raped me at ping pong. I heard that the other day. That happened just a few weeks ago. That's an example. We take it out of context to where when you do hear it in its proper context, you don't think that much about it. So there's definitely a rape culture, and it definitely adds to the problem that we have with legislation, with laws, because if there's no thought process going into this, if it's a culture, once again, a culture is intertwined with the society. If the culture is allowed to continue, rape culture, it will continue to make us think a certain way. And so it's important to realize what rape culture is, and then to be aware of it and point it out, and make sure that you're not allowing yourself to be a pawn of rape culture, which sounds really melodramatic, but in and of itself, yes, that's the essence of rape culture. It's making people believe things that aren't true, but we think they're true because we've never sat down long enough to question them. So.
Okay. I do have another question kind of tying into that. The huge case going on right now with the universities, there's 85 universities in trouble for their Title IX compliance. A lot of it stems from victim blaming. A lot of it stems from not actually pursuing the attacker or the respondent, as it's usually referred to. How do you think rape culture plays a part in that? Would you just say that that's something that
Oh.
you feel like happened?
No, absolutely. Rape culture definitely applies to that, because one other aspect that I forgot to mention is we ignore the perpetrator. We completely... So an example, bystander intervention. Bystander intervention is great because it involves, hey, if you see something going wrong, you should step in and save the day. But what do we usually tell the bystander to do? We tell them to intervene, save the girl. But what do we tell them to do about the perpetrator? Nothing. And so when it comes down to it, you save that girl, but what about the rest of the girls that night? What about that other girl that you didn't save? And there's actually a campaign going on right now called the That's So 6% campaign. And what we're doing with this, 6% of, according to statistics, done by Dr. Lysak. If you have an opportunity, you should look him up. He's very awesome in what he does. 6% of men commit rape. And so what we're doing, what we as Respect and what a lot of people are jumping on board with, is we're pointing out the fact that when you participate in rape culture, when you allow it to continue on, you are doing something that the 6% would be like, yes, awesome. And so you align yourself with the 6% of men that rape by allowing them, making it easier for them to rape people, making it easier for them to never see a day in jail, which the majority of them never see a day in jail already, so you're just helping them. You're creating a culture where victims are blamed. Once again, we just talked about that. You're allowing it to continue, and justice is never done for either party. And so yes, rape culture is tied into very much so with this university aspect. And I feel like action needs to be taken.